today lesson is living as an empowered soul. Living as an empowered soul. What is an empowered soul? Well, it's kind of like us when we feel empowered in our own life, but just on the soul level. Michael Bernard Beckwith said, each of us is a unique, individualized emanation of Source, here to discover and release our inner splendor. We're here to call forth something that's already there. It's already within us. That's our true nature. Those wild and divine forces that live within us. Now in Unity, we call that the Christ consciousness. In New Thought metaphysics in general, you might hear it called the higher self, the divine self, the spiritual person, the spiritual human. But it is the empowered soul within us. It's something we already are. We don't have to go get it. We don't have to earn it. We just have to free it up. We just have to call it forth. So living as an empowered soul it shows up in the way we express ourselves in our life. Right? We feel confident, we're assertive, we're creative, we're doing all that. When somebody lives as an empowered soul, they're walking in this world as an empowered soul. They live in the spiritual truth, all are one. Because when we live in the spiritual truth, all are one, that's how we call forth the Christ consciousness through us and into our lives. That's how we call forth that higher order of being. We perceive the nature of God in all things when we are living as an empowered soul. When we perceive the nature of God in our things, that's how we are solution-oriented. We're not focusing on the problems because we're perceiving God as everywhere present. An empowered soul listens and acts on inspiration and divine guidance because it's divine in origin, right? Our inspiration, our ideas, and the guidance we receive, that's divine in origin. So why wouldn't we want to act on it? Knowing this truth, that we receive everything from the divine, this is how we walk in faith. If we know where our inspiration came from, we know we're being divinely guided by this higher order of being, we walk in faith instead of focusing on the conditions in this world. So living as an empowered soul, it depends on our relationship, how we view our relationship to the divine and with the divine and as the divine. So today I want to talk about 4 stages that we can go through. And I actually was inspired by this from a book written by Michael Beckwith called Life Visioning. It's wisdom teachings. You've heard it all before, but he puts it in a really concise, simple to understand manner. I'm also going to talk about the challenges we might face that keep us from being able to live as a fully empowered soul. I'll also mention a simple practice that we can do to live as a fully empowered soul. So we have our 4 stages, first of all. Now, the first stage is our life happens to me stage. Oh dear, life happens to me. When we're in this stage, we look out in our environment to make our life better. And we believe we are controlled by our environment. It's our environment, it's the conditions in our life, it's the other people. They have all the power. This is being in victim consciousness. We don't believe we can do anything about anything. Everything is happening to us. We also will look around our life and think, well, this needs to be happy, or this needs to be happy. This needs to be fixed in a way I like it, so then I can be happy. Also in this consciousness, we might go into our history and think, well, because that bad thing happened in my life a long time ago, I could never be happy now. In victim consciousness, we tend to have wishful thinking for hope for a better past, basically, right? We can't change that.
Yeah.
Now, when we're in this stage, life happens to me. What happens is we're not taking responsibility for our choices here and now. And we don't take responsibility for what we do next because we simply don't have the courage to do that. It's scary to think about, well, if I had to take responsibility for something, I might fail. And what if people didn't love me? If I wanted to change something, then what if people didn't approve of me? And so because we're looking to our environment to approve of us and make our life easier, being in the stage, it can be scary to even leave it. We don't even know it's possible. We don't know it's possible to change things here. So that's when we move to stage 2 then. Something happens, something will shake us up. For me, it was attending this church back in 2000. I was like, what? You can do this? We'll have an experience where we will discover our thoughts actually can impact our lives. And so when I started coming here and heard about the law of attraction, right? And in Unity, before we even talked about the law of attraction, we talked about things like the law of correspondence or cause and effect, right? And so I started thinking, oh, well, I can do all that. And so this phase, where the first phase is called the life happens to me phase, this stage is called the I happen to life stage. I'm gonna do it. I know exactly what I want, and I have a plan, and everything has to work out how I want it to. Yeah, that's what it has to do. So we're very controlling in this stage. We want life on our terms. Also, we tend to, in this stage, think, well, I have to become more spiritual. That's the name of the game. Getting more spiritual, getting more enlightened, then I can be better than everybody. And when I'm this super spiritual, I can let everybody else know how they're not being very spiritual. I can tell them. I can point that out to them. I think I just had to be so obnoxious when I was in this phase. I thought I was so smart. In this phase, we do tend to think we have all the answers. Now, when we think we have all the answers, what happens is we become unteachable. Because we're willful. We're willful. And if we're willful, there's a wall. Right? So, we only can receive answers when we start opening to receive them. Because in this stage, the answer we want is the answer we want. It has to be this way. It has to be this way. I can't hear anything else because that didn't make sense to me and I wouldn't know what to do with that. So in stage 2, we do open a door again, right? And we move into stage 3. So stage 1 is life happens to me. Stage 2 is I happen to life and it's going to do it my way or the highway. We go into stage 3 and we discover life happens through me. Life happens through me. Now it's this third stage where things start getting really interesting for us because now we have more awareness. So yeah, we know all about the thoughts or things thing. And so now we're like paying attention to everything we do. So now this is where we're expending the effort. This is where we're actually making the choice. Like, whoa, what was I just thinking? We want to maintain a sense of oneness and wonder while we're in this stage. So with the idea of God works through me, God works through me, this is where we are open to possibilities. It's like, okay, well, God works through me and God's working through everything else. How might this pan out for me? You know, what might I be guided to do? I don't know. Let's wait and see. Like, I'll ask for a sign and just wait and see how I'm guided, and I'll listen. So we've moved from the willfulness of stage 2 into willingness here in stage 3. Willingness opens the way. So now we are open to receiving just all kinds of information. In this stage, we can still get triggered and annoyed and reactive. But in this stage, we tend to more often be aware that we just did that. I was like, whoa, did I just do that to that guy? Did my kids hear what I just yelled out the window? Right? And we look around, we're kind of like, yeah, oh, my kids, they used to tell me everything I yell in the car. They did. They're like, I like when mommy says the S-H-I-T word, right? My son was like, no, I like when she says the other word. I'm like, okay. Yeah, so here, in this stage, we're aware. We become aware. It's like, whoa, I was just triggered. I just reacted. What in me needs to be healed? What should I look at? Is there something I need to forgive? So here, we're ready to take responsibility for what we do next. We don't take responsibility for the things other people do. You know, that's not what we're here for. We're here to take responsibility for what we do next. What we do next. So we do whatever it takes in this stage to focus on the holiness of our lives, to keep remembering, you know, the wonder of this existence right here and now. Now it's also in this stage, stage 3, where we face something we didn't have awareness of before, and it's called duality, right? Duality. We all know about duality. It's extremism. It's an extremism with being offended by an opposing point of view. We can have really strong beliefs in things, but we don't have to get offended when somebody has a differing belief from us. But we move into duality, which is us versus them, me versus you, up versus down, right? Black versus white. We go into duality when we get offended when somebody doesn't have the same belief system we have. And so in this phase of our thinking, we understand duality, we understand if we're in it because we just got offended and mad and we want to set somebody straight, tell them what's what, right? And it's like, well, okay, I just got aware of being in duality. And we will do what it takes to see the divine instead. I was like, well, I don't want to be in that extremism. I don't want to care what their beliefs are. Nothing I can say is going to change what they believe. Like, right? When does that ever work? Oh yeah, come yell at me about your belief and tell me I'm stupid. I'll change my mind, I'm sure, right? I don't know if people think that works. In this phase, instead of calling out people, instead of pointing fingers and blaming, we're calling people to us. Because here, in this phase, life happens through me. We become focused on creating a community, in gathering together, seeking wholeness, creating change. This is where we're ready to create change. We're no longer focusing on the problem. We see what we want to create instead. So we want to gather with people who share our big vision, or we want to gather with people because we love their big vision and we want to be all part of that. In this stage, we're looking to create for the good of the whole. Okay, so then we go into stage 4. And this stage 4, so we've got life happens to me, then I happen to life, I'm going to make it do what I want it to do. Then we have life happens through me. Now we're in life happens as me. Life happens as me. You know, in Unity we like to say, God working through us, for us, as us. That kind of encompasses stage 3 and 4. So in this stage, we are it's easier to be part of the one. We don't have to put in the effort we did in stage 3. It's like, I know for myself, I could probably slip into stage 4 if I'm on vacation and I'm all alone. Okay, but in this stage, we're just not struggling, with the other things. We don't struggle against duality. We're just like, it's all one thing. Sure, they believe something and they believe something and they believe something, but it's like, it's all good. We're all one with God. We're all God in expression. Right? I'm God in expression, you're God in expression, you're God in expression. We're all God in expression. The entire planet is God in a different physical expression. Okay, so it's all good. It's all good. It's all just an experience. So here in this stage, we can live the truth. We just live the truth. All are one. All are one. Yeah, easy. So an empowered soul generally is walking around in stage 3 and 4. But even in stage 2, and even in stage 1, we're moving toward being more fully empowered, for sure. So remember, the empowered soul lives in the spiritual truth, all are one. The empowered soul perceives the nature of God in all things. The empowered soul listens and acts on inspiration and divine guidance because they understand that guidance and the inspiration are divine in origin. So living as an empowered soul is really about making choices. And is paying attention to our choices. Some of our choices will disempower us, but some of our choices will empower us. So we spend more time thinking about what that choice is going to do, right? It's, okay, what I'm about to do, is this going to empower me or is it going to disempower me? I've actually tried thinking of that all day. I have a little card written for myself. And I can do it maybe a dozen times before finally I'm just like, we make a lot of choices through the day. We really do make a lot of choices throughout the day. Now, our biggest challenge to being living as a fully empowered soul, here's our biggest challenge. Getting stuck in duality. That's it. Like getting into that extremism thinking where we get offended, where we take it personally. We get stuck in that because as soon as we go there, we're not aligned with the divine within us anymore. And to live as a fully empowered soul, we're aligned with the divine within. So there's the big difference, because when we get offended, when we take things personally, we're not perceiving the nature of God working through us, for us, as us. We're not perceiving that God is everywhere present, even in the people we don't care for, and even within these conditions that we're dealing with in our life. When we are not walking as an empowered soul, when we're stuck, usually in stage 1 or 2, we're listening to the voice of our wounded ego, which is just going to keep feeding us information on why we need to keep staying in duality. There's one more person that really offended them, and if we would just show them how wrong they are, or if we could just get some justice, we could just have some vengeance, right? We could set people straight. That's what our ego wants us to do. So that keeps us stuck in duality. The voice of the divine, guidance from the divine, is never includes anything that has to do with finger pointing or blaming. The message from the divine, the guidance we receive, will always lead us toward wholeness, toward connection, toward inclusiveness. That's the divine in action through us. So to live as a fully empowered soul, we walk in that truth. God is all things, everything that's ever been, everything that's yet to be. That means me and everybody I know, and all things, even the piano, everything is an emanation of source energy in some form or another. All are one. And so one of the ways we can walk, right, as the fully empowered soul is just be aware of when we get stuck in duality. That's all, just be aware. That's pretty easy to do. Go on Facebook. Look at social media. Get offended in the first 2 minutes you're on there. It's like, that's what it feels like to be in duality, right? Okay, I'm not saying that when we walk as a fully empowered soul, we don't get our feelings hurt. I had my feelings hurt last week by somebody who said she was making a generalized statement about people who happen to have my particular belief about something, and she called me stupid, an idiot, effing something or other. I was like, I barely know this person. We never interact. I'm just going to unfriend her. So I did that. I just really don't even know her. I don't know why we're friends on Facebook. We can still get our feelings hurt. So what I did for myself was, you know what? She's in a different place, and you asked for this, Deanna. You're all like, this week I'm gonna live as a fully empowered soul. Bring it. All right. So I just had to. That was one of the things I had to let go and not take it personally. Just not take it personally, because I do know that often that same person who would say those things would never say it directly to our face. Not right to our face.
Could be scary.
Okay. So one of the easiest ways that we can stay on that path as living up as the fully empowered soul, go through the unity principles. We say them every single Sunday here. There is a great book for sale out there in our little store out in Harmony Hall called The Unity Principles. It's a quick read, but we just run through our head all through the day. Okay, God is all things, and that means me. And that means that person who just really bugged me. Oh, okay, so I just want to see the divine spark in them, and then just let them go. Just unfriend them. Just let them go. Okay, God is all things, and that means me. And I'm creating my experience through my way of thinking and acting. And I align with the divine. I align with the divine within. I do my affirmations. I say my prayers, because that helps me do steps 1, 2, and 3 even better. So then when I get to step 5, walking the walk, I'm doing pretty darn good. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. Okay, so that is a fabulous thing, like to bring into our conscious awareness all the time. Like I know I need the reminder, but I have little notes written all over the place at my house and my desk. Affirmations lay all over my desk here too. Now sometimes I've had people bring up, well, yeah, I get the whole all is one thing, but you're a minister and nothing bad ever happens with you. I'm just like, please. But she was talking about, well, what about the people that actually do the bad things in our own lives? How do we do all as one when somebody's just done something to us? All as one, it's not a pass on bad behavior. Like, we can decide to see the spark of the divine in a famous person who we don't know at all, right? Just as much as we can see the spark of the divine in somebody we care about. We're not giving them a pass on their behavior. It doesn't mean living, all are one. It doesn't mean that people should ever get away with things. We are here on this planet having a physical experience, and there are consequences to our behaviors. And then, we've got rules. Break a rule and deal with the consequence to that. Okay, all are one. That's for us. That's all for us. It's not about somebody else's behavior. It's for us, reminding us to perceive God as the everywhere present force that it is. So we are solution-oriented instead of stuck in the problems, instead of stuck in the conditions. It's like, well, God is all things and everywhere present. Even this thing I'm struggling with right now, well, God is within there somewhere. Just have to wait, see what happens. I'll call it forth. I'll do my prayers. Right now what we're doing, we've been doing this actually for a while, but all of us were in the process of discovering our multidimensional nature. We are multidimensional. That's not just a new agey term, right? Multidimensional just means we have many levels of existence. So we have our level of existence where we are here in our human body. And in this human body, in this human life, we got our struggles. We got some hard things that happen. And we get our own aches and pains. And we lose people that we love. So there are hardships happening in this physical life. But the greater part of us is not even within this body. Our soul, a tiny, tiny fraction of our soul is what's animating this right here. The majority of us is still in pure spirit. And on that level, soul knows everything. Us, through our multidimensionality, you go up out of the physical body into just our soul, it's aware, it's enlightened. And it's in a space where it doesn't get hurt or harmed. It's not afraid. It can be scary to be here in this human life sometimes. Because even just moving through these stages, we're doing new and different things. And doing a new different thing, moving out of our comfort zone and into the cosmic zone, can be really scary. It's like, sure, you walk as if all is one, and you get into stage 3, and it's like all these doors are opening, but most of the time we can't even see what's on the other side of that door. There are no guarantees. So we're like, okay, it looks really dark and deep down there. I'm supposed to step through there? Are you sure? Okay, so it can be kind of scary. So when we call forth the courage, we call forth fortitude, so we're calling forth more of our soul into this life. Call forth more of that. So we're not, personally here, we're not striving to be enlightened. We don't even need to be more spiritual at all. We don't. What we're doing is we're opening a space to call forth more of the soul into our life. I know people who don't have any particular religious affiliation with anything, yet they are living a life they love. Because it's not religion. It's not a political belief. It's not the way we eat, right? That calls forth the soul into our current experience. That calls forth a more divine way of thinking, of resourcefulness. Right? That is coming forth from our soul. And we're doing that through our choices. Our choices either empower us or they disempower us. So it's just through our choices. So to live as a fully empowered soul. This is about having a conversation every day with ourselves, all throughout the day. What I'm about to do, will it empower me or will it disempower me? Right now, am I invested in blaming and pointing fingers? Am I invested in that? Or do I want to practice forgiveness? Do I want to really get into the act of blessing the situation that I'm in? Am I invested in wrath, in judgment? Do I need to set somebody straight? Will that make me feel better? Right? It won't. It won't. It never does, except for like a fraction of a second. So would I rather be invested in a positive attitude? So I can understand, well, is this something I can change? Maybe not. Okay, so if I can't, is it something then that I need to rise above? So how do I transcend it? I'm going to be positive. I'm going to just maintain a positive attitude so I can rise above the things I cannot change. Am I invested in the things I'm worried about, in tolerating bad behavior? Am I invested in like settling in a place where I'm just kind of meh, because I'm afraid to try to really grow my dreams? Am I invested in all that? Or am I more interested in really walking in faith and calling forth the divine through me? Because there is that within me. It knows what to do and how to do it, and it compels me to act on what it knows. So am I invested in giving up control, or in controlling the situation, making life how I want it to be, or am I willing to let myself be guided by the divine and be surprised at what comes next? Will I trust in that and take action on how I am guided? Eric Butterworth said, "We are not here to set things right, but to see them rightly." An empowered soul, it does not seek to fix. An empowered soul seeks to see, to observe. Because when we observe, then we know what to do. It's like, okay, can I change it? No. No, rise above it. Okay, I'll pray about it. I'll do my affirmations, see what happens. See how I'm guided. See how I'm guided. When we just see the situation, we also see the activity of God is everywhere present. Because that's what calls forth inspiration. That's what calls forth the divine guidance, the solutions, the connections, the wholeness. So we don't have to fix anything. We just transform it or transcend it. But we cannot do any of that if we are stuck in duality. If we are invested in duality, if we're invested in somehow it being a me versus all of that out there that doesn't agree with me. All right? That's not worthy of the life that you are. Not that. So really, I'll say in any of the stages, life happens to me, I happen to life happens through me, life happens as me. In any of the stages, we're fine. Right? Michael Bernard Beckwith says, whatever stage you think you're in, you're probably the one below it. Oh, okay.
Rats.
I'm at stage 8. It's okay whatever stage we're in. It's really okay. However, the soul's intention is growth and expansion through our choices, through our experiences. If we're stuck in duality, that is restriction, and that won't feel good at all. That'll be very uncomfortable. So moving through out of duality, it does take effort, it takes courage. Because really, being in duality, I'm right and everybody else is wrong and I'm going to prove it to them. That's really being stuck in our comfort zone and letting our ego tell us everything to do. We're in a place that's like, well, I don't have to think of an original thought because I got my ego telling me everything to do. I'm just going to be mad at everybody all the time. Okay, but it does take courage to move out of that into our cosmic zone. I like that, comfort zone to cosmic zone. Comfort zone to cosmic zone. So to move into our cosmic zone, we do have to be brave and think about the next thing we do. Does it empower us? Sometimes we get the answer, it's yes, but we don't know. We don't have the guarantee. That's why we also need courage. There are no guarantees. Like when we follow divine guidance, there are no guarantees. It's just what we're doing next. It's simply guiding us to expand more of our soul into our life. But there's no guarantees that it'll be a simple process, or that it will be fast, or that it will be easy or smooth. But sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes we put forth a lot of effort when we're growing our dream. And we're reading this book, Super Attractor, by Gabby Bernstein, and she said, I started doing all of these practices, and within several months, I started noticing a difference. Several months. When I look back, and I think, I'm going to try this, and it didn't work in like 2 minutes. The universe isn't listening to me. This stuff doesn't work. It takes a lot of fortitude and courage to continue with a practice, to be committed for months, and trust, have faith. I'm focusing on the everywhere presence of God. I'm just going to keep doing that. I am just going to keep doing that. So it does take courage. Got to be brave to do that. In the book of Proverbs, it says, guard your heart with diligence, for out of it are all the issues of life. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to your path. Be steadfast in your ways. Turn not to the right or the left. Okay, what he's saying here is guard your heart with diligence, for out of it are all the issues of life. Watch your thoughts and your feelings, because they influence what you do next. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to your path. Focus on the good that you're calling into your life. Focus on that, not the problems and the conditions around you. Don't get caught up in the conditions. Be steadfast in your ways, turn not to the right or left. Be committed to your path and take care around duality thinking. Right? Take care with the idea of extremism. So this week I thought, let's have another call to action. I like that. I like having a little homework to do over the next 7 days, right? So I was thinking about what kind of people come here to Unity. Right? Most people, we get the occasional person who wanders in on accident, right? And they're like, what is this place? But, overall, I think most of us choose a community like this because we're ready for a closer relationship with our inner being. Right? We're ready to get greater clarity on the good that we want to create in our life and our life purpose. Like, what is it that I could really call forth here? What kind of good could I express in my life? I think most people who come to Unity, they're ready to step into their divine self-expression. Call forth the big in a big way. So over this next week, I was thinking over this last week, how do I get out of duality thinking? Right? Duality thinking, it limits us because we're not acknowledging God as everywhere present. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to keep asking, am I seeing God in this situation? And it was a really interesting kind of thing to do. So over this next 7 days, we could all do that if we wanted. 7 days, 5 days. You can commit to anything for 5 days, right? That's not too long. But just ask, am I perceiving God as the everywhere present source that it is? Right? Am I willing to perceive God as the everywhere present source that it is? Am I willing to do that? Is that my desire? Be willing to do that? Well, that opens a door. That opens a way. Just being willing opens the way. And that is where we call forth the greater good. That is where we step into the space where we're ready now. It's like, now I can do this. I can walk by faith. I don't have to walk by sight no more. I can walk by faith here and now because I see God as everywhere present. This is how we are creating heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, I forgot our affirmation. Kevin, let's do it. Thank you. I am divinely designed to live my life as a fully empowered soul, right? What do you think about that? Let's say it all together. Can you all see it? Because it's kind of long, but I like to add divinely designed in case I'm really not ready for the affirmation yet. I don't have to accept it, but it's like, well, I can acknowledge I'm divinely designed to do it. Okay, so here, I am divinely designed to live my life as a fully empowered soul. Thank you, Kevin. All right, so until next time, remember, you are divinely designed to live your life as a fully empowered soul. You are the activity of spirit in this world. You are the heart and the hands and the voice of God, walking around in a physical body and everything you do. You are blessed. And so it is.
Amen.